What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 2 of our Manchester United Let's Play here in Football Manager 2021. Yes, that's still taking a little bit of getting used to, the new Football Manager number. Despite 8 years of doing Football Manager here on YouTube, there's still that moment of hesitation, that moment of panic, as I say the name of the game, the first couple of times in a year. I'm sure it will be gone in due course, but since you were last here, we've played a couple of matches, and on the pitch we have continued to do a little bit in the way of transfer business. I think before we get into the results, it makes sense to talk about the man who has joined us, and it is a player who I alluded to having a desire to sign just last episode. It is Marcus Edwards. The 21-year-old is a superb English player who I'm a little bit concerned we've overpaid for, but our scouts were very high on him. He was desperate to move to us. As you can see, he had quite a good debut. We will talk more about that in a second, but the reason to sign him really was I wanted a super impact sub, someone on the bench who could sit there and I knew had the quality to make a difference. And without being too disrespectful to Danny James or potentially even to Jesse Lingard, I didn't really see them as that kind of player, especially in the wide areas. Whereas Marcus Edwards, not only can he be a super sub to come on in the wide areas, be that on the left for Rashford or on the right for Jadon Sancho, he does also have real ability to play down the middle of the team as a centre attacking mid. And whilst we have got a few options at centre attacking mid, should Fernandes get injured, one of the big issues is that a lot of those players, if we just look at squad depth, are the players that play at centre mid, or in Rashford's case, out on the left-hand side. The realistic kind of issue here was there wasn't a super, obvious go-to centre attacking mid. I didn't really want to be calling upon Juan Mata, whereas I actually think Marcus Edwards can do that and a little bit more as that utility option. Unfortunately, as I said, he's not come cheap. We brought him in for £20 million, 7 million of that up front, another 13 million of that spread out over the next 36 months. But ultimately, I do see it as a deal that can make a great big bit of difference. As you can see, looking at the budgets here, there's no money left. There's no money left. We're going to get £66 million next season minimum. That's not much of a silver lining right now. Although, with a little bit of wage budget to spend, maybe we could shuffle this around if the board would let us. Right now, they're being a bit tight with their money, and well, with the deadline day on the horizon, I think we might be all but done with the transfer business, at least for this opening transfer window. I'm sure down the line there'll be more signings that I want to make. I don't think we're going to run out of money here at Manchester United, put it that way. And while I alluded to Marcus Edwards' superb little debut, let's talk about the couple of games since you were last here. And we'll start with that debut, where Edwards got a hat-trick inside the first 22 minutes. Not a bad way to announce yourself onto the stage. His first goal was great. Within the first couple of minutes, he was already a fan favourite, dare I say, away from home against Fulham. And not long after that, he scored a superb solo effort. This was a run down the left wing, kind of crept inside, managed to sneak it between the keeper and the post, a bit of a cheeky finish. And while if that second goal was a moment of individual brilliance, the third goal was just a superb piece of passing play as we knocked the ball around and tore Fulham a new one. We outplayed them throughout this game. We took our foot off the gas a little. The 3 early goals were all that we mustered up, but ultimately it was a very convincing performance and another great little clean sheet. And well, following on from that, we had a Carabao Cup tie to look forward to against Manchester City. A bit of a preamble, I suppose, to today's game, which is against them in the league, again at home, and a chance to perhaps get a mental edge in this game. And I thought we were well on our way to doing that, because within 55 minutes, we were 2-0 up. Marcus Rashford with 2 goals, taking his total to 4 for the season. Unfortunately for us, Harry Maguire scored a rather unfortunate own goal, and not long after that, they were scoring from a set piece in added time, which did take the whole thing to penalties. And whilst it was a bit of a nervy affair, Phil Foden missed a penalty early on, and then late doors, in order to secure the win, Greenwood stepped up and slotted it home. And 2-2 on the night. We went through on penalties. A win over our rivals nevertheless. They were definitely playing a weakened team. I was taking it quite seriously. I wanted to beat Manchester City, in our first meeting against them. I'm hoping that in playing the first team players there, it's not going to cost us too much as we take them on today in the league. And with only 2 games played, we are going to get straight into that game today. I'm pretty excited for this one. I think it's going to be a tough game. They are down in 7th. Looking at how they're predicted to set up, they're looking at a 4-3-3. Interesting to note, potentially 2 inside forwards with both Sterling and Silva out on the right-hand side. With that in mind, I am going to make a bit of a change just for this game only, and it's a bit of a sign of respect, really, to how good Raheem Sterling is. I'm going to have Wan-Bissaka play as a wing-back on defend. I do not want him to wander up the field today. I want him to always be goal side of Sterling, you know, not really affording him too much space to attack into out in the wider areas. Additionally, because they're playing with just the one forward, I think in kind of initial transition, rather than distribute to playmaker, I'm going to opt to go to the centre-backs today, which is perhaps asking Maguire to do something that, whilst he's semi-comfortable with, I'm not entirely sure he's made to do. I mean, he's got 13 passing, he's got 12 vision. He should be good at it, but after his own goal last game, I'm a little bit nervy. Meanwhile, for Bailey, is he the man to play this kind of system with? Maybe not. And whilst he was good in his most recent game, I'm actually going to bring in Lindelof today, who is a bit better with the ball at his feet. And I do see as kind of the longer-term centre-back option, well, alongside Maguire for at least this season. Is he the Champions League winning centre-back I dream that we'll have in a couple of years' time? I think that would be perhaps a little bit generous. But for here and now, he is the best ball-playing option. And he's looked okay so far for us. In terms of the rest of the team, I don't want to compromise us too much going forward. A few people did pick up on the fact that, you know, last episode I talked about playing Van der Beek, as a deep line playmaker on defend. Whilst his positioning isn't that great, it is kind of the one glaring weakness in his game. Ultimately, I feel like he, Pogba and Fernandes are our star midfield trio. And ultimately, in order to get the most out of Pogba as a Mazzala, which he is so well suited to play with his kind of superior physicals and mentals and slight lack of defensive ability, and also with Bruno just being a player who I feel like is better just given a free role as a centre attacking mid, unfortunately Van der Beek is the player who perhaps has to compromise his game a little for the benefit of the team. But so far, he's looked pretty good in the position, and you can see whilst he's got the hold positions kind of player trait or player instruction, his player traits such as moves into channels and gets forward whenever possible means whilst he probably should be holding all the time, there are times where his own intuition will allow him to get forward and perhaps offer something in the final third. So anyway, that's the team for today's game. Unfortunately, we did get a couple of injuries against Man City in midweek. So as a result, Brandon Williams is not available, and neither is Anthony Martial, which is a shame. You might think the obvious candidate to bring in would be Cavani. If you think that, you're probably right from a current ability perspective, but if you know me and you know Football Manager and how I like to play, for me personally, I want to give Mason Greenwood time to shine. I want to give him the opportunity to develop and flourish into a top quality goal scorer. And simply put, Cavani's going to be here for one season. I'm probably not going to look to renew his contract. I want to build for the future. That means giving Mason Greenwood the nod in this kind of situation here to lead the line. And, well, this is the team that we're going to go with. I think Edwards is going to feel a little hard done by, perhaps, on the bench, given the fact he scored on his debut against Fulham, only being stuck on the bench. But ultimately, I think he's a player who, as I've talked about before, will be a super impact player. And as the fixtures ramp up, as injuries creep in, he's just such a high-quality player who can play anywhere in the final third. You can see Luke Shaw concerned about lack of tactical familiarity with the formation. Cavani, he's complained every single game about passing into space. Mate, you're on the bench. I don't see you as part of my long-term plans. Slowly but surely, he is wearing me down. Every time he has this negative reaction, it makes him less likely to start. I do not like complainers. I do not like whingers. Cavani, just pull yourself together, man. Anyway, I noticed that I forgot to do team instructions, so let's just ask our assistant to do them real quick here. And let's hop into the dressing room where I'm going to do a bit of a fist pump, I think, and tell the players to give the fans something to cheer about today. We're taking on our local rivals. Yes, we beat them midweek. That was nice, wasn't it? But ultimately, I want to beat them in the league. That's more important than the Carabao Cup. Assistant, go talk to Kevin or Keith or whatever that press guy's name is. I'm here to do one thing only, and that is beat Guardiola. Simple as that. It sounds so simple, and well, it might be about to get a bit more difficult. I thought they were about to score from a set piece within the first minute, which would have been a bit of a situation. Obviously, we started great against the midweek, and then they grew into the game in the Carabao Cup. They were playing a weakened team then, so I'm definitely not, going to be complacent at all going into this match. We need to be at our best. Also, I put Lindelof in, and Bailey's there now. Am I going crazy? I definitely put Lindelof in, right? Williams is not available, and neither is Anthony Martial, which is a shame. You might think the obvious candidate to bring in would be Cavani. If you think that, you're probably right from a current ability. I mean, answers on a postcard. Bailey, He snuck onto the pitch. I mean, I can't even question it. I've just got to remind myself it's a beta, I suppose. But yeah, you can see here, 0-0 after 10 minutes. I mean, Bailey's stuck himself on. It's like I've accidentally handed in the wrong team sheet or something, which I don't think happened. Maybe I am going crazy. Maybe I did screw up. If I did, I mean, you will have seen it happen and now be facepalming. If I didn't screw up, then, and I lose, I'm blaming the game. I have an excuse. I have an out. Anyway, Man City working the ball quite nicely down this near side. Walker a little on his lonesome here. Rashford tracks all the way back, which you love to see. Gives it back to De Gea, that then lumps it forward, just surrendering possession there. That is not the distributing to the centre-backs that I requested. Walker cutting inside. Tellez, huge tackle. I think there could be a little bit of space for Bruno to attack into behind Walker as Greenwood is threaded on through. On the breakaway, tucks it into the bottom corner. That is why I'm playing Mason Greenwood over Cavani. City commit men forward. Walker caught out of position as he turns over possession. And we strike into that space in behind. Bruno with a superbly weighted pass. Greenwood finds space ahead of him. Uses his turn of pace to get away from the defence. Tucks it into the bottom corner. We take the lead again. We've looked very good in the Premier League, yet to concede, but I do feel like this is going to be one of our toughest tests, albeit at home against Manchester City here. But, well, within the first half an hour, there's only been one shot on target, and it was the goal. I'm quite content for the ball to be bogged down in midfield. You can see here, looking at their front three, not the best average ratings for Manchester City, as we very quickly approach half-time here, and it remains 1-0. I mean, look at that XG. They've had 2 shots all game. Been pretty poor for Manchester City so far in this game. We've looked pretty blooming good. Not bossed possession as much as I would like, but defensively looked solid. I'm going to point a finger and tell the players that they've played well, but there's room for improvement. A few players pleased with that reaction. Let's go with a little, I've got faith in you. Let's go with a little bit of, everyone needs a little bit of faith. Go up there and make a little bit of a difference. And you know what, for Greenwood, I'm delighted with your effort in the final third. You've been superb. Taking the one opportunity that's come his way. It's all that you can really ask for from your strikers, isn't it? You know, if you don't touch the ball throughout the course of play, if you don't have a load of shots, but the one time it falls to you, you take the all-important opportunity, I'm not going to get on your back. Simply put. Anyway, 20 minutes gone in this half. After a few goal fiestas, it's a little bit surprising to see us struggling like this. Looking at things, Bruno Fernandes is looking very, very tired in the final third. Bit of a high risk of injury. So with that in mind, I'm going to bring in Marcus Edwards, who, you know, is going to be asked to fill in at centre attacking mid from time to time. Elsewhere in the team as well. I think I'm going to take off Donny and I'm going to bring in Scott McTominay. And I'm going to change up his role, actually. So rather than play as a deep line playmaker, he is just going to play as a centre mid on defend. McTominay hasn't really got a passing range. He's not got the vision of a deep line playmaker. I am actually weighing up the possibility of training him to play centre back. Would that be crazy? I just feel like, despite the fact it might not make work of his teamwork and work rate, and perhaps his positioning and marking are a little bit lacking, his game would be really, really well suited to being a bit of a centre back who pings balls from deep. I'm sure that there's going to be Manchester United fans who love that idea and others who think that I'm just a bit of a mad scientist and I've got too much power and I don't know what I'm talking about. I think it's a combination of the two most of the time. Anyway, 18 minutes left in this game. We are holding on to a slender lead right now, but you imagine an onslaught could be coming, although Rashford wins it. And look at the men committed forward here. Rashford, go right or go alone. Slide tackle flies in, he gets past it, tucks it away into the bottom corner. And, well, we've done it twice now. Twice Kyle Walker caught out of position. Twice Man City caught perhaps throwing too many men forward. And twice our very quick forwards have sprung into action, attacked the space here. And, well, Ruben Diaz, questions going to be asked. An inquiry launched perhaps for that tackle there. Got nowhere near Marcus Rashford, who tucks it into the bottom corner. And whilst I want to be really happy with that, and I am, I'm also mindful of the fact that we were 2-0 up against them in the Carabao Cup under slightly different circumstances to this and ended up drawing 2-2. We cannot afford to let complacency creep in, hence the demand more team talk here. I want to keep the foot on the accelerator as well, as has been the case throughout this game. Man City having a lot of the ball but giving it away to us in a dangerous area. Sancho, not a whole host of options around him. Could go back to Wan-Bissaka, goes alone, gets it back post. Rashford hits the woodwork there, a chance to secure the game there, you imagine. Rashford apparently really struggling for fitness. We are tiring. It seems quite apparent here. 4 minutes left. Should I have made a change? If I should have, we're going to wait. Greenwood threaded through. Could he score again? Tight angle, difficult angle. Edison makes a stop with an injury. Of course, I don't play with a goalkeeper on the bench. It does always make me a little nervous to see a goalkeeper with a knock, even when it's on the other team. It's a reminder that it could happen to us at any moment. Anyway, Pogba's been a bit quiet in this game, a bit tired as well, my staff was saying. So with that in mind, we're going to bring in Fred, just to play as a Mazzala, really, which is a role that he can kind of play, if we're being a bit generous. Perhaps not the greatest player going forward, Fred. I do see him as more of a kind of defensive midfielder option, to be honest. But in this instance here, I think he can do the business for us. Surely we can't screw up from this position. There's 3 minutes left of the game. We're 2-0 up. They've had 2 shots on target all game, despite all the possession. We've contained Man City and then some. And, well, a Aguero-less Man City going to fail to break the deadlock. 2-0 it finishes to us. A 3rd clean sheet in a row, and there's not a lot more I can say to the players other than very happy about that performance. We get one over on our rivals, and that's not a bad way, I suppose, to endear myself to the Manchester United faithful, to beat our rivals twice in a row. We triumph in the derby. Tellers getting man of the match. 100% of tackles won. Not necessarily something you'd associate with Tellers. I guess his tackling's good. It's more his marking and positioning, where perhaps you'd have some question marks. But going forward, he's great. And in that game there, pretty faultless by all accounts. Definitely contained Man City well. And ultimately contributed to what was a very, very good win for us. And, well, if we look at the league table here, 3 games played, 3 wins. Couldn't have really asked for a better start. Definitely, you know, a great platform to build off. This year, I haven't really discussed expectations. I would like to challenge for the title this year, but primarily Champions League football is an absolute must. And, you know, to be in a situation now where early on we look okay for that. I don't want to speak too prematurely, but I'm pretty happy with what we've seen, particularly that game against Man City. Does feel realistic. The board expectation, by the way, finished top 6, qualify for the Euro Cup. I'd like to go a little further than that. Elsewhere in the Champions League, you can see we enter the group stage, which is going to be happening shortly. I imagine next episode we'll be back for a little bit of European action. Of course, pending who we're going to be getting drawn against. The Carabao Cup, I have made a bit of a priority of now, I guess, by beating Man City. But ultimately, the one competition of these 4, which the board don't care about, and really, probably in my mind, should be off in the back burner. But I don't know. Silverware is silverware. I want to win everything. Although I guess that could screw us over longer term, depending on exactly how I look to approach things. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode from me today. I do hope you enjoyed it as always. If you did, do drop a like on the video. I will be back again, of course, at the same time tomorrow. And until next time, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.